Hi everybody, this is Boog S Reviews, and today I'm going to be doing a review on the brand new NECA Mirage TMNT Rat King figure. So before we take a look at the Rat King, let's go ahead and take a look at the accessories that he comes with. So first up, he comes with a set of fisted hands. Up next, he comes with a set of fisted hands with the thumbs tucked there. Up next, he comes with these wider accessory holding hands, and I assume these are for holding the rats that he comes with. Here he is holding a couple of the rats that he comes with. We'll take a closer look at them in a second. Up next, he comes with these smaller accessory holding hands that hold the club that he comes with. And this looks very nice. It's cast in a light brown color and has a nice dark brown wash over top of it that brings the details out very, very nicely. I think that looks very nice. I thought in the comics he actually used a pipe, but I could be remembering that wrong. Up next, he comes with these open hands without the wrappings on them. And these are sculpted so well. You can see all of the warts and everything on the bottoms of his hand. He has some texturing. It's really subtle, but he has these textured lines running down his hand. He has this brownish wash over top of his skin. You can see some more of those warts and stuff sculpted on there with some black outlines on the top there. He has some black outlines to the fingernails. These are just detailed very nicely. Like I said, I was really surprised at how well sculpted they are and painted. That's very awesome. Up next, he comes with 3 rats. First up, you get this one that's running. And these actually have some really great sculpt and paint detail to them. They're cast in a light brown plastic and have this black wash over top of them. And it brings the details out very nicely. You can see there's actually a bunch of sculpted fur on them. So yeah, that looks very nice. These are really tiny accessories that have some really exceptional sculpt and paint detail to them. Up next, you get this rat that just sits. Again, sculpted and painted very nicely. And then you get this dead rat that's slumped over with its tongue sticking out. And I assume this is the one that he convinces Splinter to eat. So I think this accessory is actually more suited to Splinter. But yeah, I think it's very cool that NECA included this. All of these look very nice and have some excellent sculpt detail for being such tiny accessories. And finally, he comes with this alternate head sculpt. This is the more human looking one, and I think this looks really good. It's sculpted very nicely. The facial hair is painted on there very well. The black lines for the wrappings on his head looks really good. You actually get some texturing up here on his head from where it's scarred. The little tufts of hair there sticking out are painted really well. Except for on the ends, you get a little bit of red on the ends of all of them. But other than that, it's done in dark brown, has light brown painted over top of it, and that looks really good. Just the texturing and the tones on here on his scalp, that looks really good. I think I do prefer the crazier head sculpt on him, which I'll take a closer look at here in a second. But NECA also did a really good job on this head sculpt as well. So taking a look at this head sculpt, this is the head sculpt I prefer to leave on the figure. This one's a lot crazier. You can see the exposed teeth, the crazy looking eyes. You get some tufts of hair peeking out of the bandages, and you can see his scarred scalp right there. That looks really good. He has black paint over top of the wrappings as well as a black wash, and that brings the details out very nicely, especially where it's tied right here. That looks really good. All of this figure is sculpted so phenomenally. He has this texture that looks really good. It has a black wash over top of it that brings the texturing out very nicely. All of the stitches on the patches of his suit look very nice. This is actually done in a lighter green. Man, that looks really nice. NECA did an awesome job on this. The tears on his outfit look really nice. They're painted in black. Man, that looks really good. And he's a bulky figure, too. He's a regular price Ninja Turtle figure, but he's really bulky. He's a lot bigger than I thought he'd be. You can see all of that continued texturing and all of the sculpt work on the stitches there. That looks phenomenal. The black paint for the lines on the wrappings, as well as that black wash that make them look really dirty. The one thing that irritates me about this figure, though, is some of the bandages are separate pieces. So whenever you pop the head off here, that's a separate piece. So you'll have to be careful. It looks like it's sculpted on there, but it is a separate piece. I am going to glue it down just because being loose really irritates me. But it's not as bad as down here on his legs. I actually thought I lost one of these, but it just shifted down there to his calf. So this is meant to be wrapped around his thigh, but the thing is you can just take it off. And that does irritate me because it does slip off, or it just slips all the way down to his foot. So yeah, that does bother me. This one is the same way. It just keeps wanting to sink lower and lower. I'm not quite sure why NECA did that. I think they either should have glued it down or made it all one piece, that way it couldn't be removed. This one is also bad about shifting up and down, but you can see there is a little bit of a divot for it to go down in, so this one doesn't bother me as much. And on this side, the wrapping and the top of his boot is a separate piece, so both of these are always shifting up and down. That's the one big flaw of this figure. I mean, it's a great looking figure, and I suppose that's really a tiny complaint because you can glue them down, but I'm not quite sure why they're separate pieces or why they're not just glued down to begin with. That really does bother me. Other than that, though, he has some excellent paint and sculpt detail down here. You get bigger patches of his suit where it's sewn on right there with the light green material and dark green right there. You get that continued black wash. It almost looks like there's a bit of a brownish wash on his feet, because you can see where it's a lighter green up here and darker green down here. It might just be the black wash, but it almost looks like it has tones of brown in it as well. You also get some sculpt detail to the bottoms of his feet, as well as a little bit of a wash. The stitch work actually continues all the way to the bottom of his foot, so I really appreciate NECA for sculpting that on there. This figure is one of the best sculpted comic Ninja Turtle figures that we have. It is just really, really well done. So now let's go ahead and go over his articulation. So he has a ball-jointed head that can look up all the way. He can barely look down at all. He can move his head side to side. He has shoulders that can move out that far. The right side does move out a little more than the left. He has a swivel at the bicep. It's a very squeaky joint. He has double-jointed elbows that can just about bend in all the way. The wrappings here on his elbow does hinder it just a little bit. He has a swivel wrist that can move side to side and up and down very nicely. He has a ball-jointed diaphragm that can move back just a little bit. He can crunch forward just a little bit. He can move side to side very nicely. He has a waist swivel that moves very nicely. He has ball-jointed hips that can do a complete split. He can kick forward that far. He can kick back very far. He has an excellent thigh swivel. Double-jointed knees that can bend back all the way. And swivel ankles that can move down all the way, up all the way, and a nice ankle rocker. So now, let's do some size comparisons. So first up, here he is next to Raphael and Leonardo. Here he is next to Donatello and Michelangelo. Here he is next to Splinter, which is a really, really tiny figure next to him. And finally, here he is next to another bigger Mirage comic villain, Savanti Romero. So overall, I would highly recommend picking this up because NECA knocked it out of the park with this one. Like I said, I think this might be one of my favorite Mirage Turtle figures. It's just sculpted really well. I love that he has a texturing all over his body. He has some excellent sculpting to the stitch work all over his suit, and he has that black wash. He has the black wash all over his suit and then the black wash over the bandages, which really make him look dirty, and it really works for the figure. So yeah, I love pretty much everything about this figure. NECA did a really good job. The only con I had is that the wrappings are very loose on him and not glued down. But honestly, that's a really small gripe when I love everything else about the figure. If you are wanting this one, right now it's only hitting at Walmart. Just like with Tatsu, this one's only hitting at Walmart for the time being. But it isn't an exclusive, so you should be able to find it just about everywhere pretty soon. So that's my review. If you like this review, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to my channel. Thanks for watching.